need a freaking stress ball. You need a stress ball.
That's what I thought. Hey, Jess, how are you?
Hi, Mix. I'm doing great. It's
Good, good, thank
super.
you.
It's like we're entering into the perfect zone of weather. I know I always like to talk about that, but it is pretty darn nice here. I have to tell you, it's
Yeah,
it's a good
lovely.
it's a good time of year to be living in California because it's just not too hot and not too cold, and I feel like I'm in a good mood. But I am definitely with all of the back to school schedules and madness, I have found, and I'm sure it is too for people, parents that are kind of taking in the swirl of new routines, it is very easy to, amongst a new routine, to kind of go off track with your own routine, especially coming in off of this time for people in the States. It's like you just came off of summer and now you're kind of going into this different season of life and time and parenting. And so you still want to kind of keep your same rituals and your same routine about for yourself and your own health as much as you can. But I have definitely been derailed in the past week or week and a half. So I'm just reminding, certainly what we do when we get together and talk on this podcast, of just like stay on course. don't don't let yourself get don't let yourself get too information overloaded. And sometimes it's best, even with your calendars and all this, just to stay in today. Just go to tomorrow, stay in the week. I mean, I have this tendency, this delicious tendency of being right in the moment and then also being like into next week before I even got through the right.
And I don't think it's a
So
bad thing. I just think you need to you because it's always good to sort of have that preparation mindset, but equally you almost need to give yourself the like say, right, I'm going to think for 10 minutes, I'm going to sort of project as to what I need to think about for next week, but then I need to just be back because otherwise you just get those ruminating thoughts and anxiety, and that's not great.
it's not great. The one thing, I think the biggest saviors are just to like stay with what is working. So I know I have a tendency sometimes just like over consume. I'm an over consumer of information, on social media and outside literature, on podcasts. Like I just take too much of it in, and so I have to kind of like. But one of the like so like sometimes I have to like consume a little bit less. I have to be on social a little bit less. I have to just sort of like take a walk or do something else without my phone because I'll just be in too much mode. Um, and then, but one thing that I think that does kind of help me, and we've talked about this, stay sort of on the straight, is just to like keep doing the things that are working for you. And one of those things for me is just like it's nutrition. Like it's just, oh my god, if everything else is like coming down from the sky, I'm like, do you have any chicken breast, Jessica? Like, how much chicken did you like cook? You know what I mean? Like, what does
Yeah.
your refrigerator currently look like? Like, are you on empty? Like, because that's just, do you have enough chomp beef sticks in the pantry? So, but something that happens is just, when I've talked about this, is still the little bit of the the notion of like, how can I possibly be eating more and still be, staying lean and focused on my calories? And so I don't know. I mean, you get asked this question a lot, and what's your favorite way
Yeah.
to answer it?
It's funny, and actually, so people like who are doing Mondays Matter, for example, like and following the plan, because people do the plan and they sometimes they just follow the principle and they freestyle and they sort of bring together their own meals. But people who follow the plan are like, should I be eating this much food? Like, this is a lot of food. How do I lose weight if I'm eating this much food on my plate? And I'm like, yeah, well, what is required for weight loss or fat loss is actually a calorie deficit. So, despite the fact that your plate is full, it's still relatively low calories. Like, if you think about what's making up the plate, and you'll know, Jessica, like my meals are, they're protein and vegetables, and there's a bit of flavor in there, but the flavor comes from that, it's used sparingly because if it's a fat source or it's a low calorie option, so you can actually eat a ton of food but still have rather low calorie meals, which but people don't connect the dots in their head actually because we're so used to just eating less. all the time. And yes, you do need to eat less calories, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to eat less food. And in fact, you're much better trying to focus on what you can eat more of to provide you the same outcome.
I love the concept of eating more. I mean, for so it's like just existing in diet culture, or whatever they want to dub it as, but like just this whole concept. I was even watching right now on Netflix. There's this. I mean, it's a little
Oh, The
much, but
Biggest
there's
Loser
the. It,
documentary?
hmm
Yeah, I've
And I
heard.
remember, and I just because it's whatever it's on, and it's a little bit like half entertaining and half just completely ridiculous. But there was all these contestants on there, and there at one point was like, I had to win, and so I did the master cleanse. I was like, oh my god, you literally subsided on cayenne pepper, maple syrup, and lemon juice for 9 days. Like, what the
Heard of
hell?
that before. That was going around, obviously at the time that Biggest
Yes,
Loser was at its height. I remember
yes,
crazy.
yes. The master cleanse, they called it. And so I don't even know what they were actually doing. I don't even know why would they even call it a cleanse? Like,
You don't
because if
eat.
you just, and that simply put, like, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Same with juice cleansers, like you just have juice. It does nothing for you. It will reduce your weight on the scale because don't have any food in your gut. So absolutely, or in your digestive tract, which same thing. And you feel hungrier, you feel lighter. Yeah. That's the whole purpose of, and like long term outcomes, like nothing changes. Nothing changes, but in the moment you feel virtuous, you feel cleansed, you feel like you've got this halo around your head. I think, I don't know because I've never done it, but and I just would not do that. What is the point, particularly from a fat loss perspective or a weight loss perspective? Because your point, I haven't watched, I've never really, I think I watched a couple of episodes of The Biggest Loser. I know there were several seasons, I think, but I never, I'm not into that type of thing of sitting down and watching people, even though nutrition and exercise is my absolute passion. I'm just not interested in watching people do what they do on those shows. Like, it's just so not, it sort of grosses me out, if I'm honest. So I just tend to, and so I wouldn't watch the documentary, but I did see someone post a picture of the man that won, that his
yes,
before, his after, but then his after.
it was after,
And
after. Yeah,
that's
it's
just
interesting.
so sad for me. Like, yeah, so sad.
Well, I find it more interesting just the psychological games that everybody plays around. I mean, like not everybody, but a lot of us do, right? Around just food and what we can have and what we're allowed to have and how we halo some food, right? And we villainize, other food, and like there's just this food hierarchy, and there's must, I'm so good I didn't have this today, like, and I can't help it. I mean, you and I talk about this as like a little bit of therapy on the show, but you, this is what I mean about if you can stick with, what to be factual, right? In your day to day eating, then it also takes a little bit of that, like, mental fatigue that comes from, it's like, why she can't have this, but I can't have this. And I'm like, I like to just focus on the abundance of what I can have, and I can have a lot of this. You know what I mean? And that actually, there's less decision fatigue. I don't feel like a bad girl. Like, there's a lot of shit. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that is around this, right? So it's very psychological. And if you think about how many times you're eating in a day, and how many conversations you're having with yourself, you know, each time. I know not you, but for a lot of us it's a lot. Like, so I do want to touch though on just some food, just even talking about just even types of meals and types of food that you'd buy at the store, that's like would be the food you can eat a lot of, you know what
Yeah,
I mean, that I think
yeah.
people are a little bit confused on. And I did have one friend the other day say, well, I know you want us to get all this protein in, but I don't know how to reconcile with the calories. And I thought, okay, we can address that.
What's easy, and I guess the thing is that protein is one of the lower calorie foods, right?
Correct.
Carbohydrate,
That's right.
protein, and fat. Carbohydrate and protein both have 4 calories per gram. it's metabolically more active, so you can eat more calories of protein and less of them will be available for energy because we utilize more of those calories in the digestion, but also in the muscle protein synthetic response. So if someone gains weight because they're eating more protein, it's not protein that they're gaining weight from. It is the vehicle that protein's coming from. It is the higher fat sources of protein, or it's the protein bars, or it's protein cookies, it's processed protein foods. It is not actual like lean sources of protein because once you because I could create for you a protein sparing day that had 160 grams of protein and it was under 800 calories. Like, and that
That's
would be what you'd eat per day.
insane.
But it can be done. And it's just that knowledge
Wow.
of, it's minimal carbs and fat 'cause that's what a protein sparing day is. But that's just an illustration of the fact that it's that whoever said this to you just doesn't have that knowledge of food. And that's what they need to do. And I mean, dare I say it, sometimes people don't want the knowledge, they just want to be told. And that's when you join a plan. But also, if you do join a plan, but then listen to me, I'm just getting a little bit like when sometimes people join my Mondays Matter plan and go, I'm just going to freestyle. And then they tie themselves up in knots trying to figure it out when literally a whole 8-week plan is there, but they just refuse to follow it. And that is the thing that gets my goat. It's like, make it easy on yourself. Like, don't complain that it's hard. You're making it hard. Like, it shouldn't be hard to follow a plan, but some people do like to make it a bit more complicated.
Why do you think they're, because to me, I mean, give me all the plans, right? I love to follow a
Yeah,
plan.
but
I
do you
hate
follow
to,
plans? And the people don't like to follow plans. Like this is it. It's like, oh, it's just too overwhelming to so I'm going to freestyle. But then when they figure out they have to actually figure out what the meals are, it's almost like this is just this disconnect. So I think it's like, oh, I don't like following a plan, or I can't follow a plan. So they've got these self-limiting beliefs around what following a plan actually means.
and I mean, what following a plan means, like following a plan, like
Yeah,
as in you, but that also means that, and I've said this to you too, like I think sometimes I have this feeling of like, I go all the way back to the same exact treat, which is a peanut butter cup. All things, all roads lead back to the peanut butter cup. But I'm like, to me, I'm like, I can follow the plan, but sometimes I'm gonna have a peanut butter cup, which isn't on the plan. But still, to me, I don't feel like I'm a failure for having a peanut butter cup. You know what I mean? And I'm still doing the plan. So I guess like that maybe like there's that. I mean,
there is
if you
absolutely that, and I think that you've hit the nail on the head. Like sometimes people look at a plan and think that if it's not that has to be all or nothing, and
correct,
and I think maybe it's on me. Maybe I don't make it clear enough. Although, gosh, I talk about it all the time. Like, actually, you guys have to be comfortable with not following the plan 100% because no one follows a plan 100%. And it's not about that. But sometimes it's actually just time in the trenches as well. It's a few weeks of loosely following the plan, not getting results, then going, you know what, maybe I just need to buckle up and do this and just see. Oh, okay, now I get it. Now I'm seeing results. And then because you always learn from a plan. Like a plan is never to be put in place to follow for the rest of your life, but you're learning the skills that's associated with the plan because you know what you need to buy, you know what you need to prepare, you then just need to execute, and now you're eating these foods and you can start to visualize what that looks like. And a plan like mine, for example, is just filled with education around the protein and vegetables. Like sometimes people ask me these really like deep questions about a meal, and I'm like, no, you're overthinking it. It literally is just that you've got this X amount of protein and we've got some veggies alongside and a bit of fat. Like sometimes people like to overthink it, and I totally understand that. But once they realize that actually that's not, it is almost as simple as what they think it is, then they're a whole lot better off. But it's a learning thing,
yeah.
Jess. Like it is years and years of learning.
It is. Yeah, it's years and years because you're like you're still fighting the voice that lived in that body of yours before your plan came into their life. So and also there's always a little bit of the fear that even if you follow the plan, you know what I mean? Like what if I'm the person that follows the plan and I don't like see the results? But the way I see it too is that something's gonna happen. like maybe I don't lose all the amount of weight that I'm looking to lose, but I'm going to gain muscle. Do you know what I mean? My sleep is going to be better. Like things are going to improve as a result. We'll just use your Monday Matters, example. But you and I create programs and put them into the world because there's enough people that do them that something that will happen will be totally positive from following the plan. like, you know what I mean? Like maybe you don't like all the 10 things, but that's not the only thing. Like, I'll follow your plan and I guarantee like like there will be a benefit in one of these categories, if not all of them from
Yeah.
me.
And I guess it's appreciating those other benefits, because actually when people come into a
That's
plan
right.
like Mondays, it's almost like, yeah, all of that's really great, but they don't realize the significance of it until they're coming near the end. And what they once thought of as a byproduct of the plan, they now sees them as actually, this is the most amazing thing. Yeah, I've lost weight, but I've got all of these things. Whereas they come into the plan going, all those things will be nice, but I just want to lose the weight. So you get that, but it only comes from experience and that practice, that you get that sort of transformative mindset, I think.
How many times do you have people? Well, so just really fast and without, but just giving you maybe like 5 or 6 things. When you talk about like a protein, is it protein sparring? What
Sparing,
is it?
sparing,
Sparing.
sparing.
And so, are those days designed like they're very they're not like that's not like an everyday thing. That's like when would you do a day like that? When would you have a day like that?
So in my plan, we have them 1 to 3 days a week.
Okay,
Yeah.
and like I mean, 160 grams of protein and
That's
800
that's not in,
calories.
no, it would be more like 100, and like I can give
I
someone
mean, even if you said like
150 grams.
100, that's amazing. 100 grams of protein
It's
and
about
under.
120 on each day, sort of like,
That's
yeah.
insane and amazing.
Just
And some obvious foods are egg whites,
mhm, yeah, egg
like
whites
the liquid
are
kind.
like lean chicken breast without, so chicken breast without the skin. It's prawns, it's white fish, it's a lean steak, it's pork schnitzel with there's no fat. So it's those kind of things.
That's just those. I think for people to have that in their cart, you
Yeah,
know what I mean? That it kind of really debunks it because you just said 10 things, and that's a lot of protein, and that's not a lot of calories. So, and I imagine that you're feeling pretty full after the day ish. Are you?
no, but
Okay.
you're not feeling starving. Some people are, but that is not like, well, it's not what you do every day. So it doesn't actually matter because it's just 1 day. Whereas I think
That's
when
right.
people just reduce the amount of what they're eating of their usual foods, they do feel hungry all the time, because a lot of the foods that they usually eat are foods that would drive their appetite, or they're not optimizing for protein, so they're just left underfueled. So it's a real balance.
Wait, that's interesting. So they're eating things that are like driving up their yeah, hunger. That's fascinating. I did not think about that. And that makes a ton of sense.
Totally. And it doesn't
Um
even mean, because a lot of people our age, Jess, they're not necessarily diving into processed foods at all, actually. Like a woman of our age barely are touching a carbohydrate. Or if they are, they're doing it unwittingly. So they think it's a good food and it's not necessarily. Or they're just under eating across the board. So at night, that's when they are diving into these things which they otherwise wouldn't eat. That's making them sort of that's ruining their progress, essentially.
well, still the moral of the bigger story is that you can eat. You can eat a lot of food. You can eat a lot of food,
Yeah.
nutrient dense food, definitely meet your protein goals and then some. And you can probably end up still doing this in somewhat of a calorie deficit too, if you're just mindful of what those foods are. You know what I mean? And so I think you're right. I think you're eating just either higher calorie, protein sources, if that's the case, or maybe you're overeating. I'm probably just going to say that because I think the question that came up was how am I going to get all the protein in without blowing my calories out of the water? And I'm like, well, by this because protein traditionally doesn't have as many calories and again, carbs are not the enemy to me. So I'm more than happy to have half a turkey sandwich if I feel like it. You know what I mean? If I feel like having it on a wrap or bread, I'm going to have it on that. Like, I also allowed myself the other day too, as a good reminder, like lunch meat. Let's not villainize it, please. It actually helps a ton. It's super easy, everybody. You can go ahead and have it. Say yes.
Yeah, and you know what as well, like, if these people are in a position, they it's yeah, they ask you, but actually they do have to do the homework themselves as well. Like, they have
They
to
do.
either engage with a professional who actually does stuff like that, or, like, get on an app. Like, all the information is there. Like, go to ChatGPT. It will not get it right 100%, but if you put in, "What are the lowest calorie, highest protein foods that I could eat?" It would come up with a list, and you'd be like, "Cool, I'll just base my meals around that."
Buy those and sign on to Mondays Matter. But either way, people try to, at least from the beginning of the conversation, if you come back and you literally feel like your life feels completely inundated with too many things, too many schedules, and too many places to be, go back to your basics, and the basics work, and do them consistently, because there is something, especially nutritionally. We talked about sleep on another episode. So maybe just try to make your bedtime 15 minutes, earlier, but also just stick your fuel a lot during the day. And I think it really helps. It's like the one thing, quote unquote, that I feel like I have a little bit of control on. And it makes a big ass difference in the way that I feel about myself and my exchanges to others. What are you grateful for? So does gratitude, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That makes a big difference too.
I am, well, actually, I booked tickets for a festival in Adelaide in October. So I'm
That's
grateful
fun.
that I was able to do that because two of my favorite bands are playing, and one of which we said if they're coming to Australia, we are going to see them because we missed them last time. And so I'm so glad that we got tickets.
Who is it?
It's War on Drugs.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
and a
that's who
whole
you've
bunch of others.
always, when was the last time you saw them?
I haven't seen them. That's
You
why.
never have. So you're like, if they come to Australia, we're like 100% going to do it. How did you get when they were coming?
Because I was just on social, and another one, Vance Joy, who I've seen
Oh yeah, I
twice.
love it. That's great. Is that
Yeah,
who else you're going to see?
yeah, yeah. And so they're going, and I'm like, Vance is playing in Adelaide. Oh no, Vance is playing in this festival with War on Drugs. And I saw it was Harvest Rock in October. I'm like, oh, it's got to be somewhere in the States. And then I saw Adelaide, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And so I just had to double check with the hubster that he could squeeze like a day off and leave. And so he's managed to pull it off. So pretty excited.
I think it's going to be so awesome. You guys have the best time. Music festivals are just the best. I'm
I'm
a big
sure.
music person, so I
Yeah.
love it.
Nice one.
I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for this podcast. I am. I think I hope it gives you just enough information in your head to actually go do something with it. I am grateful. I'm grateful that my son is going to be bar mitzvahed in a few months. And I'm grateful that we met with the rabbi. And I loved that she asked our Jake to like talk about us. Like she's sort of like in this very reflective way, because Judaism is very much about like, the journey, like to be thinking not only about yourself, but like, the context of the person around you. So I'm grateful for the opportunities to be thinking and digging deeper into our lives and our relationships.
Love it. Nice one,
I hope you
Jess.
have a very good rest of your day.
Yeah,
I'm
you
going to
too.
get a good night's sleep.
Great.
And I'll see you on our next episode.